Hi everyone, this is Deb Tim, a Canadian girl, and I have been working very hard getting my pond ready for the season. Now it's up, it's running, and it's ready to start filling in, and I am very excited to share the progress with you. Now remember, it's early in the season, so it's kind of bare looking, but it has wonderful potential, so please stay tuned. Here's my poor pond after a long winter. This is exactly how it looked after all our snow finally melted. I have done absolutely nothing for the pond up until this point. Our winter was drawn out this year so that we still had snow on the ground in April. You can see the pump in the middle of the pond running. The pump in the pond and then the deicer there on the left are what kept this pond open and functioning all winter for my fish to survive the cold months. The perennials on either side of the pond in their little gardens are dead and dried up, but we can see new growth coming along. It's high time that I clean this up. Each fall in October, I have always shut down my pond. I would drain the water, catch all the fish, bringing them into the tanks I have for them set up in the basement, and then I'd clean the filter and pump and store them as well. Once that's all done, I would leave the rest of the cleanup for spring. This was the first year I left my fish outside over the winter. The water is very dirty and full of leaves, so you can't really see the fish, but they did great. All of them are looking good, healthy, happy for the new season. I only began feeding them once the snow was gone. Over the weekend, I finally got out there and finished my pond. Over the last couple days, I have done a lot of work to get the pond open and cleaned up. It's looking a little bare as the plants in the side beds need time to grow in. I also add more plants around the waterfall. You can see the begonia hanging above the waterfall, one of my Mother's Day gifts from the boys. In that spot, I have a huge fern hanging, but it's far too early and there's still a threat of frost. So until that passes, I won't be adding more plants. On either side of the waterfall, I put Gerber daisies. Daisies are my absolute favorite flower. This was the first time my fish stayed out in the pond over the winter. That was an excellent idea, and I will do it every year. The first thing I did was drain enough water so I could catch the fish. I filled a garbage can with pond water for the fish to stay in while I cleaned the pond itself. Once the water was low enough, I began catching the fish. As I caught each fish, I checked them over and was so happy to see how healthy they are. I didn't count them, but I'm sure there are over 20. I have 3 nice-sized koi that have grown really well and look very healthy. I also have about 5 shubunkins, and the rest are comets. This is Sweet Pea, and she's assisting me today. I used the pressure washer and cleaned out the pond form. It was pretty guggy. As I washed it out, I had my pump pumping out the dirty water. It didn't take me too long to get that done. I also washed down all the flat rocks. They had some moss on them at the waterfall and many leaves stuck between them. I cleaned up the pump really well and then set it back in. Once that was done, I started to fill the pond. I use a pond starter each spring, so I added the pond starter and let the pond finish refilling and sit for a little while until I added my fish. As I was setting up my filter, I realized I needed to replace some parts. Otherwise, I would have had the pond ready sooner. I also picked up this great pond net. It came with little stakes, but they're far too little, only being about 5 inches in length. Instead, I used some garden stakes to secure the net with them, and they work perfectly. Last year, I had a heron come and clean out my entire pond. I was so angry. So, to protect the fish, once I restocked it, I just used fishing line running it back and forth over the pond. But I never felt completely safe. I love this new net. It's great protection. I can easily feed my fish through it. And if we have company and I want to remove it, I can do that easily enough. The fish are well protected from that heron, and I can guarantee you he will not be dining in my backyard this year. Now the hard work is done and the pond is ready for the season. What an awesome feeling. I'll add a few plants once the threat of frost passes. I did toss in some parrot feather, but we'll be adding other plants as well. The pond is in the shade most of the day, but when it gets hot out and the late day sun hits the pond, it's important the fish have cover. I am looking so forward to adding all the plants and decorations and moonlights. It's going to be perfect. So until next time, this is Deb Tim signing out. Thanks so much for watching. I love this time of year with new growth and the colors coming out, and especially pond season. So I've decided I'm going to take a weekly photograph of my pond throughout the entire season. And then in the fall when I close it, I'm going to share it with you. I think that's going to be fun to see its development over the next few months. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.